Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students, hope you will be fine. Me, your bio teacher is here, and today I am going to discuss about topic diffusion and osmosis. It's your week number 3. By the end of lesson, you will be able to define diffusion, identify factors which affect the rate of diffusion, state when diffusion will stop, and you will be able to predict the direction of movement of substances by diffusion from diagrams, and you will be able to give reason why diffusion is important to whole organisms, and you will be able to define osmosis and differentiate between osmosis and diffusion. It's a starter. There is a question, and I hope at the end of this lesson you will definitely find the answer of this question. How can a shark find injured prey so quickly? So it's the question, and think about the answer. Let's start with topic diffusion. Maybe you can smell your dinner cooking when you get home, and it's just because of diffusion. So what's the diffusion? Diffusion means the movement of the molecules from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration down a concentration gradient. It's a form of passive transport. Passive transport means no utilization of energy. And diffusion stops when the concentration gradient is zero. This is known as state of equilibrium. And the movement of the molecules from higher to lower, it's a natural phenomena. Each and everything moves from higher concentration to lower concentration, just like the wind always moves from higher pressure to lower pressure. Water, if you will see the flow of the water, it always moves from higher pressure to lower pressure. So it's the natural phenomena. So how the molecules move? You can see in this picture that molecules are always moving and bumping into each other, and these molecules tends to spread out because these molecules have kinetic energy. All these molecules, if there will be non-availability of kinetic energy, then ultimately these molecules will stop their movement. So it's just because of the availability of kinetic energy. If there will be more kinetic energy, means that there will be more movement, and it also depends on the space. Now you will see I've used the term concentration gradient in the definition of diffusion. So what is the concentration gradient? It's a difference between concentration in two areas. It's known as concentration gradient, and in this picture you can see that at one side there is a lower concentration of molecules, and at the other side there is a higher concentration. So this difference basically is known as concentration gradient. Now which factors affect the rate of diffusion? Like which factor will affect on the rate, like when there will be high rate of diffusion and when there will be low rate of diffusion. So the rate of diffusion depends on these factors. Number one is temperature, then size of molecules, third is thickness of a barrier, and fourth is concentration gradient, and the last one is surface area of cell membrane. First one, temperature. If there will be high temperature, then ultimately there will be more movement of molecules. There will be more kinetic energy. So ultimately there will be high rate of diffusion. Low temperature means low rate of diffusion. And then there is a second factor, which is the size of molecules. So ultimately, if there will be the size of molecules will be smaller, then ultimately there will be more movement of the molecules from one area to the other area. So it also enhances the rate of diffusion. Smaller size molecules, ultimately there will be a high rate of diffusion. There will be high rate of the movement of the molecules. And third factor, thickness of barrier. More thickness means that there will be low rate of diffusion. Less thickness means that there will be high rate of diffusion, because the thickness creates a distance. So if there will be short distance, like less thickness, that will be thin membrane, then ultimately there will be high rate of diffusion, there will be more movement of the molecules. And the next factor is concentration gradient. If there will be a steep concentration gradient, that there is there is a big difference between the two areas in the concentration of the molecules, then ultimately there will be high rate of diffusion. And last one factor, which is known as surface area of a cell membrane. Maximum surface area means that there will be a maximum rate of diffusion. If less surface area is available, then there will be low rate of diffusion. So you can see high rate of diffusion when there will be higher temperature, smaller molecules, less thick membrane, steep concentration gradient, and more surface area. And now pictorial and graphical representation, you can see that in the pictorial representation that at point A you can see that there is a higher concentration of molecules, and at point B there is a lower concentration, and where there will be the direction of the movement of the molecules ultimately from point A to point B. And graphically, in graphical representation, you will see that there is a steep concentration gradient at between the point A and point B. Then ultimately molecule will be diffuses down this gradient, mean from higher to lower concentration gradient. Then what's the importance of diffusion? Why diffusion is important? It's very important for the living organisms. Number one, biological diffusion. Dissolved substances have to pass through partially permeable membrane to get into or out of the cell, and diffusion is one of the process which allow the material to pass